this healthy crap. I don't want salad. I'm gonna be in Lithuania, so like next week. So I'm thinking I'm gonna eat a lot of potatoes and a lot of like junky crap that's so delicious, but I'm like clean my stomach out now.
We're good.
We're good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Green Room. As always, we have so much to talk about.
Well, no, there is. First off, we got to listen. Let's shout out Hawaii first. You know, I mean, listen, natural disasters and tragedies and, you know, climate change and all of it, you know, but I guess there was a severe drought on the island, you know, which kind of set it up.
But the winds,
but what a scary thing you know, listen, when you hear about natural disasters and you hear about a firestorm, that was a firestorm, and just that the raining down of the ashes and literally the thought of people jumping into the sea, you know, to survive. And you know, you don't like you're jumping into a calm sea during the day, going to the beach. No, there was a hurricane, winds, this, that, it was night, you know, and a lot of people perished, of course, and just to see the cars on the road, you know, along the beach where people literally had to obviously get out of their cars and run or died in their cars, of course.
And,
you know,
they said now
what a job for the workers. The recovery workers, you can't call them rescue workers, it's recovery workers at this point. And over 1,000 people still unaccounted for.
Well, they're burnt to ashes, and
it's crazy.
No way, they said there's not even dental. The fires were so bad that there's not even dental. They said they're gonna try to piece together DNA somehow, but they said there's not even dental records.
So life is life, and you know, ashes to ashes.
The only thing is, people in Hawaii, they're very spiritual people.
Well, they
are, and they understand.
It's such a combination of modern technology failing to a certain extent, right?
They said so many people said there
it was, you know, with that combination of things. I know,
like they should have had sirens. I mean, it's beyond a war. I mean, you have
to be investigations.
There will be.
But shout out to everybody there.
But still, and we need they keep saying it. And honestly, like I was listening to President Biden, and I know it's FEMA guidelines because they did it when we had the hurricane. They're giving people $700. What the heck are you gonna do in Hawaii on a burnt island? You can't even get off the island for $700.
No, there's gonna have to be some significant solutions, maybe old cruise ship.
Maybe
or something like that. They're gonna have to get creative.
They have to get very creative. And I mean, for these people too, like the thought, like it's one thing, like, you know, if you have like a hurricane or something, you can still store stuff. When you have a fire, you
listen, this is why this I'll be honest with you, you know, there's so much to talk about this week, as you alluded to, and we will get to the whole Ashley Moody's, comments about smart and safe, you know, and that'll be about 5 topics from now. But and listen, we love our guests. We had a great guest last week. Look it up on YouTube, Compassionate Cannabis Clinic. Dr. Bone was with us talking senior care and medical cannabis. But we need our therapy. We do. So getting a guest this week, you know, I mean, we do. There's so much to talk about.
Like how many indictments can one?
Listen. Right. So just moving along that to a certain extent, you know, I'll be honest with you. A little bit of my depression, and I'll be honest with you, Donald Trump depresses me. He exhausts me.
He is exhausting.
You know, Tim Ryan came up with the exhausted majority. You know, to that extent, it is, and you know, and I think the failure, and I want to come right out with this right now, and I blame Mitch McConnell and those senators on the second impeachment that they got to 55 or 56, 57, and McConnell himself said, "Oh, well, it had to be taken up in the courts, you know, later and this and that." No. He should have been convicted in the Senate, which would have taken him out of this race.
Yes.
That's what's sickening the country right now. And I'm going to call a Tim Scott specifically out, and others who are saying that this is a weaponization of the Justice Department and election interference, you know.
Election interference.
No, this is just.
Trump did was not. Hello.
You've got to follow. Didn't George Washington, Don, you're behind the thing. Yeah. And we'll get back to this too with Ashley Moody, because she insults me. One of her things about her first thing talking about, you know, oh, well, people don't know that it's still federally illegal. knows this.
That in
She made an
2026,
illusion.
and including Ohio, just it's getting on the ballot.
She made
in
an
Ohio
illusion
now.
that nobody knows even the name of one Supreme
Yeah,
Court justice, okay?
Really is true,
But
but like,
but we're not
No,
that
I know.
stupid.
Well,
But here's the point, listen,
Trumpsters.
what were we taught in like kindergarten or first grade? George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, okay? And what
I
happened?
think Donald Trump would say no.
I
it's
got
an
it.
apple tree.
No, I'll never tell a lie. Okay, right. So we just expect more out of our leaders. And I guess
Yeah, we do.
that's what bugs me about Trump, has always bugged me about Trump, and always will bug me about Trump.
Okay.
I never want my son, okay, to grow up to be like
Oh
Donald
God,
Trump.
nobody who wants
okay?
their child to emulate.
But he's the
his
president of the
idiot.
United
Yeah.
States. And that's always supposed to be held up to a
That's
certain moral standard above
above
everybody else.
Above everybody.
But for
Yeah.
honesty,
But
for honesty and integrity,
and there's
not malignant narcissism, okay?
but the other thing
That,
that's
leads you to
crazy-
not be able to admit that you lost,
You lost.
buddy, you lost.
But then
And I can't wait till Monday. He's supposed to have a news conference. Monday, he's supposed to have a news
I know,
conference. You've
people,
seen
because
this.
because they're having the debate on Thursday.
Yeah,
so
they're
it's
doing-
like,
But he's coming out with his, finally, I hope Rudy's there with like makeup running down his face again and
but you
everything.
know,
But what
saying
on
that-
earth does he think that he can present on Monday?
But why is the idiot Florida people following him? Why is Stubby on a plane, gets on a plane with him to Iowa? I'm like, oh my
Okay, so
God, come
I'm
on,
represented
knock
by
it off.
Congressman Greg Stubbe in Washington DC.
Me
You are as
too.
well. Okay, he's actually called for the impeachment
I know of Biden.
of President Biden because of the Biden crime family.
Really?
These people, it's amazing to me.
I think we need to check Stubby out a little bit ourselves. Like, let's just go there one day. Like, we'll have to go
I'm
look
not
into
gonna
it.
insult him on the air
Well, but I
if there's
will.
injury. Yeah, you're right.
Not only his injury, I think his child and his family, I think there needs to be a DNA test, but that's okay, but that's another matter.
Well, no, but it is. It's the integrity at all levels of government, quite frankly, that do have people questioning, unfortunately. And I'm not sure how to solve that, except to hold everybody to the rule of law. I mean, what would be the worst thing right now? Just to say, oh, no, but he's running again. He's running again.
He's running
So
again.
dangerous with
He's
sport, a lot of sport.
Somebody just posted on Facebook, Christian Ziegler was at like Sam's Club or Costco or somewhere with his family over the weekend. He's wearing Trump shorts with the Trump thing right on his rear end. I mean, come on.
But the Fourth of Diamond now is interesting. It's in Georgia. It's a different, scenario. Now we'll see if it stays in the state courts or they move it to the federal courts, this and that. It's such a unbelievably broad, that's the thing. I'm not a lawyer and I've never wanted to be a lawyer. Okay. We got two of those in the family already. My brother's retiring. Interesting. He is. No, he's going to be 70, I know, which is pretty crazy.
No,
And if you're able to, but I said to him the other day, he goes, yeah.
He'll do some side work.
Listen, I got an invitation to my 50th high school reunion for next summer. It says the 50th and final high school reunion, which I thought was kind of funny.
Are they anticipating that everyone's going to be dead? Like,
Well, I don't know. It's 60th, you'd be 78 years old. And I think there's a lot of 78-year-olds. We see them every day in the clinic.
I'm playing tennis every day or
pickleball.
Or pickleball.
Or
pickleball.
As the case may be.
My question only about, and I just want to backtrack to Christian Ziegler for a second. His wife was appointed by DeSantis into her position, appointed by DeSantis. I want to know him getting on a plane with Trump. I want to see how this plays out for DeSantis's relationship with Bridget Ziegler.
Huh.
Yes, because he just stabbed Ziegler and Ziegler just stabbed
That's
him in the
interesting.
back.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes things going on in Florida right now. Because, DeSantis's campaign has just been pretty much a complete flop.
And he keeps changing out people. And it's, I'm sorry to say, I don't think it's the people behind him. I think it's him. It's his
pretty
messaging.
bizarre.
Well, because most people don't stand for the doodle stuff
They don't.
that he does.
They
It's
don't.
hate. Yeah.
It's a hate agenda. It's a hateful agenda.
Did you see he quoted, he's like, oh yeah, we're all in Florida, we're all over the Disney matter. Well, Disney gave you the big F you, buddy. So I think not. You just lost billions of dollars for our state because of what you did.
And I don't think people are over certain matters. I mean, I think, listen, so let's talk about smart and safe Florida, because it has to pertain to that 24 election cycle, of course. So let's explain.
Yeah,
Smart and
most
Safe
people don't.
Florida is the effort here in Florida that has the required signatures already to
Which
be
is
at the Supreme Court.
900,000.
To be at the Supreme Court level of review of language. Now, listen, TrueLeave, it's well known, has been the primary financial backer of the effort with the Bellamy brothers, an old time country, duo. And I wasn't really aware of, but it's cool. But anyway, so they had to, they paid money. So Ohio, interestingly enough,
they got this.
Ohio, interestingly enough, did a 50%. They had their big issue 1.
Yeah.
Everybody came out and said, no, we want to keep our constitutional amendment at 50% plus 1 vote, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Florida is 60%.
Yeah.
And Ruta, it's been 60%, is it? How did it get to be 60%? Was it done? Did we vote on it ever
No, those kind of things don't get voted on. They
not here in Florida, but in Ohio it was.
Normally here, like they change amendments and rulings. In fact, Alex shout out to her. She's head of the Liberty Caucus for Sarasota County. And she is actually doing a workshop in Venice next week at the police station because the charter amendment wants to call for the same thing in the charter for Sarasota County. It doesn't go, she said, give it to the people to vote on, and they don't want to do it. They want to put it into the charter review, pass it through
so 60%
to 60%. And she's like, I'm sorry.
So
no.
60% is 60%.
Yeah.
What they have done up in Tallahassee the past 3 years is add more difficulty to the obtaining of the signatures.
Yeah.
Who can be paid? Well, they want to suppress the citizens' vote.
Sarasota County, they did it with like you can't pay for votes or what? Not pay for votes, pay for
solicitors and however it comes down. But anyway, so the signatures are there, and listen, that would lead to the allowability of the legal possession of cannabis here in the state.
And that's the argument.
And that is the argument
of Ashley Moody saying, how can you deem something allowable when it's restricted by the feds? And then you're technically, we cannot as a state endorse something that would be a federal crime.
So what we're leading to is that just this past week, very interestingly, and if you go to my Facebook page, you can find the article, and I pulled it up to have it so we can refer to it. And it's a great article. I think I forget we should credit, who did it, and we will when I pull it up. But the point is, it gave Ashley Moody's 4 arguments in front of the Supreme Court of Florida. Here's the point. The state of Florida is standing against the will of the people to vote on this, right? Great opinion article in the Miami Herald about that. Let the people vote. Let the people vote. But the state's come out already. Governor DeSantis has come out and said he doesn't want legal adult use. As long as he's governor, he'll give us reasons, none of which are valid.
He doesn't like the smell.
He does not. I was just leading to that being the stupid and funny one.
No, but Ashley Moody's 4 points, like I said, the first one.
The first of the 4 points is literally that the citizens of Florida, and they've always used this. This is the one argument that they've used in the past to keep it off the ballot. Anyway, so they want to keep it off the ballot. They do. Basically, they don't want Democrats going to the polls, in 2024 with this being on the ballot. It's going to drive traffic to the polls. No doubt about it.
A lot. And but this is the
she makes allusion to the fact that the legislature themselves should take care of this, but it will take years to do so. But that's point 3.
Yeah, that's
point 1 insults me. Point 1 is that the citizens of Florida aren't smart enough actually to realize
chief justices of the Supreme Court.
She makes a point that most citizens can't do this and can't name a Supreme Court justice. But Ashley Moody, please let me tell you, people know that cannabis is still federally illegal in Schedule 1. They really do. They really do. And there's a thing going on all around the country trying to make sure that citizens aren't thrown in jail over the use of a plant.
States, including DC, already legalized recreational cannabis. So obviously 23 states have gone then federally against the federal government. Yes, they did, but the feds aren't going after them either. And so
the misleading nature of the language that, it'll be legal here in Florida, quote unquote, with whatever,
But it'll
but it'll still be federally
see
illegal.
what she said, she goes, I don't want any of our citizens to be subject to become a federal criminal.
Right.
Okay, well,
So-
it's me, and
so-
like really 23 other states are okay with it, so.
So that's kind of the first,
That was the first
point.
one.
And that's
Yeah.
the easy one.
Yeah,
They're
that
gonna
was
come
the
with
easy
that. We'll see.
Well, the second one, wasn't that the limitation of 3 grams?
So,
Or how are you gonna
so I
regulate
tell
the
every,
dispensaries?
so I tell every single medical patient that if you have your card right now, don't even worry about what legal adult use is going to look like, because there's 2 things I know for sure, and they're the only 2 things I know for sure. It's going to be taxed, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be heavily taxed.
At least
Medical,
Yeah,
still not taxed. Got to
Yeah.
keep it untaxed because it's medicine.
yeah.
So we know that rec, legal adult use, whatever
It's
you
gonna be
call it,
taxed,
it's
right?
going to be taxed.
Ohio said 10% on theirs. So
Listen,
mean,
I have
every
people
state
coming
does a
from the
lot.
north all the time that tell me what the taxes are
It's
up
crazy
north.
expensive. My niece uses it, and she said she came down and she was like, oh my God, the prices down here are like amazing.
They're
compared to there."
outstanding compared to
Yeah.
what's going on up north.
Yeah,
So we got to
that's what
keep our
she said.
taxes at 0. And the
medical,
second
yeah.
thing I tell patients, and everybody pretty much understands the taxes, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But the second thing is important about Florida. They're going to regulate the amount that you're allowed to purchase and possess. So actually in the Constitution, well, that's, listen, Don, it's Florida.
Yeah.
They're not going to have an open market
won't
down
have
here
open
where you
market.
can walk in
There's
on
no way.
Monday and buy whatever you want. And hey, come on back in on
On
Tuesday and buy
Tuesday.
whatever you want. And the MMTCs are going to lobby to have the
The cap
least
says-
amount of restriction, of
Restriction,
course,
yeah.
okay, and the highest cap on product that
On
just
product,
makes sense for business for them.
Yeah.
But in
or-
medical, we're capped at 2.5 a flower every 35 days.
But that's why,
Yeah.
like, how are you
Well,
gonna?
in this, it's 3 ounces
3
of
ounces,
possession in
yeah.
general. They don't really have it laid out on how much you can purchase on any
Mhm.
day, this, that, whatever. But Ashley makes a point, Mrs. Moody, I guess, is probably,
Moody.
I know, makes a point of that because Florida's very importantly so, everybody, and this is a really important point in this whole discussion. Why isn't home grow in here, for example,
Yeah.
other type of things?
But she brought that up herself.
She did, and in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
In such a, I don't know, I got to get the right word, so let's not talk about it yet because it'll take me a few moments to bring it up because I had it yesterday. I had the right word. The point is they're going to limit the amounts. Okay. So the point is everybody needs to understand that in medical, we need to protect our tax at 0
Yeah.
and the
absolutely.
quality
She
of,
brought up the quality issue,
medicine.
because she said if it goes rec, the quality isn't going to be monitored as much by the dispensaries and the growers.
but the point is Florida's single subject. So you really can't bring that up in the context
No,
of the
you
Constitution
cannot.
Amendment. And she tends to use that
Yeah.
against, okay,
Even
the amendment.
like, yeah,
Accusing
it's a
Trulieve
single
essentially
subject,
of
yeah.
attempting to monopolize the
everything.
market, and this and that,
Okay.
because it doesn't specify exactly that. It does say that other entities will be allowed to enter.
Interesting, like the wording on that when I read it too, it was a little.
It's like she's somehow protecting the citizens of
the
Florida in their pursuit of even more medical cannabis. So one of the most capricious, condescending, it's still not the right word.
No.
She seems to, I think it's point 3, in arguing that when the citizens of Florida obtain the right to home grow or
yeah.
allowed to home grow or desire to home grow, that there's no way that they won't be over that 3 ounce
So
possession
she-
limit. So
She said
trying to offer that she's standing up for the rights of Florida.
to grow.
Cannabis.
Yeah, I want to know how, when they limit the medical marijuana for
Gotta
patients.
get the source down. I gotta find
And
that
she
word.
did, and it was like really in 3, and she's like, oh, but this will limit the potential for our citizens to grow.
Yeah, it was really, really
was a
bizarre.
bizarre
Yeah,
argument,
just
a
a
bizarre-
reach.
Yeah, oh, she's reaching.
But
like,
you know,
she's
they don't
definitely
want
reaching.
this at all.
They
That's
don't
the
want it at
point,
all.
and just to kind of hold that
That
out.
was a bizarre.
That
argument,
really,
too.
really
It
was.
really
And then the other point had to do with MMTC licensing, I think,
Licensing.
and who'd be able to be in the market and this and
Yeah.
that. But let's call a spade for a spade and what it is. They don't like Trulieve. That's
Oh, no,
obvious.
that's obvious.
They
Yeah,
believe that
she's
Trulieve was absolutely
driving this.
driving
They
the
are,
bus,
they do.
forcing the issue, things of that nature. She
monopoly,
specifically, and we
but-
mentioned it about 5 minutes ago, talks about the legislature perhaps,
Yes.
needing to do this on their own, which I've always felt made a hell of a lot of sense to me. And when you look back at last year's legislative session, when Rep. Roach and others talked about this upcoming legislative session, I say everybody keep a very close eye on what's going on. We're going to see what is happening in committee meetings. We have an entire, and this is another green room, and we've had green rooms about it, and we'll have more green rooms about it. There's an entire hemp space out there right now. It is completely out of control and unregulated,
Totally
including
unregulated.
Delta 9, quote unquote, my best rabbit things or whatever, hemp derived Delta 9 gummies and other oral type products.
Although
everywhere.
DeSantis did pass a bill, I was reading yesterday that he is gonna stop those products from marketing to children, like putting them in like purity packaging, and also not selling to any, even gum and things that have hemp.
What you're talking about,
so they are.
What you're talking about is a restriction on recreational advertising, okay, for these products.
It is recreational.
And I want to promo next week's show. Ruta's going to be away.
I'll be away.
But I'm going to have a great guest. Dustin Robinson, Mr. Cannabis Law, has agreed to join me next Thursday, and we can talk about a bunch of things, including that. They slipped that in. There's also things about background checks also for MMTC. There is. No, that was very quiet.
It was very quietly signed. And now, so like for MMTC.
I know Dustin's going to have some things to be able to tell us about that.
So if you had any kind of a felony or misdemeanor or anything, and they're going to do federal background checks. But if you had any of that, you will not be allowed to work at an MMTC in the labs and groweries at all. And I think that's going to trickle down eventually into the dispensary side too, because I think
it was interesting. I read that same article that you did. So there's things going on. Unless we're coming into committee weeks. Coming up in October, I think this year. I know, it's amazing how time flies.
So I don't know, maybe we should call in like Buchanan, and we should call in.
It's probably time to put a call out to our legislators and see what the agenda will be this year. Because listen, just getting back to the whole hemp side and everything. It's time for common sense, okay, regulation. It is. It's time for common sense regulation.
Smart regulation on the
safe and smart, smart and safe. But my point is, the doctors, okay, myself, others that have a lot of experience in this and have seen, thousands of patients at this point, we should have a role to play in advising people on which direction to go. I have always said, and I'll continue to say, there should be a safe substance use class required before anybody walks in to a, cannabis purveyor. Yeah. And there will be people that argue that with me, but I'm emergency room doctor by training, going into the grave that way, wearing brown and orange. Browns play tonight. I hate preseason football. Football, because football is a game that's meant to be played at full speed. Preseason, not so. The starters sit out anyway. I guess the young kids, they do. Well, they do. But you never want to see one of your starters get hurt in a preseason game.
That's why they usually don't. Usually in most sports, they don't start their star players.
Right. So preseason's just, anyway, but we're close. No, listen, that's the joke that I make with our patients at this point. So a lot of our patients we're seeing via telehealth. It's great.
It's great.
Everybody, listen, if you're a medical cannabis patient, know that you can do a recertification visit with your current doctor, right, who you've seen physically before in the office. New patients still not allowed via telehealth. Don't let anybody fool you. But for our established patients, they love it.
They do.
It keeps them safe. It keeps them, especially in this heat. A lot of our elderly patients, they literally do not want to go out during the day, and it may be unsafe for them to do so.
We still do the education. We still inform them of everything. They're still getting all the benefits of coming.
It's a victory that was achieved in Tallahassee is the point. That only comes with consistent effort. Consistent contacts, right? Consistent work.
But it makes sense. And really, like, we do have a lot of elderly patients, and throughout the state, it's the state of Florida. So to make these people come in when they're so sick, some of them, and it's like, so thank God for that. And really, people are loving the telehealth.
The other side is that people that can step out from work, and do it there too. So it's time, it's gas money, it's 75, I-75 traffic.
And the thing is, we're so blessed that we had patients that used to drive like 2.5 hours to come to our clinic. and they wouldn't give that up. So like, I mean, they used to literally get in their car at like, 7 a.m. to be here at 9. And so this is such a relief for them. And
people still suffering from the storm, damage.
oh God,
So we're not even a year. So we're not even a year. Yeah, as it is. The time warp is crazy.
And like
And
FEMA is still working with people down here. So I mean, people still have tarps on their roofs. People are still waiting.
My roof's not even scheduled till October.
People's roofs aren't even done. I'm like, it's crazy.
And the water temperature off Key West is 101 or something.
Oh my God.
So I think we're all just crossing our fingers
it just doesn't
and trying to get through the season.
Yeah, I think after, you get like gunshots.
Floridian for a lot longer than I,
24, going on 25 years. Oh God, 25 years this December for Florida.
There's pictures of you on your birthday and belatedly so, but I saw some of those pictures.
Yeah.
That people posted some going back to 2 years old, I think, or something like that. That was awesome. Where do you find those?
People are digging up and they're sending me pictures, and I'm like, and then I have the big 80s hairdo, which is like out to here. It's like 5,000 pounds of hair. And I'm like, oh my God, it was so 80s. Aqua, but it was like, but the big poofy hair. And I was like, oh God, such an 80s.
It is fun when you see the era of hairdos.
The styles of clothes and everything. It was like so funny. So now the thing is, like, all our group of friends were like, okay, let's all get together now, because we didn't have a reunion. Our high school is like, everybody's like, oh, who cares? We wanted to do reunions, but now all of us, like, because we're posting the pictures and we have a throwback to the clothes, to the like in our generation, like it was like the alligator shirts, the Lacoste with the collars up, and like, I mean, we had the penny loafers. It was like such a lot.
That's the interesting thing about a reunion, after a certain point, is that all those cliques break down.
Yeah.
It's just, we're all from here. We all are somehow still alive.
Still friends, like we all chat on Facebook and stuff, so it's kind of funny. So yeah, the postings were really, really funny. And
probably the one positive of Facebook is the ability to stay connected on those type of birthdays, celebration type of things. It'd be great if you could just like melt it all the way down just to that type of thing anymore. Get rid of all that other social media nonsense.
But it's funny because like I'm looking, like some of us were chatting on Facebook about like, what is everybody's space now? Like, where are you working at and everything? And when I said cannabis, it was so funny. I got like really great reactions. Like people are like, oh my God, that's so cool. And they're like, that's awesome. Like people are like, oh my gosh. And like, it's
listen, really, that's just the tip of the iceberg of doctor referrals and political contacts and other things. It's just a slow evolution. It is. But when you get reactions like that, and you see the patients that we see, and we talk to the doctors that we talk to, it's a glass half full type of situation, no doubt about it. I'm almost willing to go glass 2/3 full. I'm teasing, but I'm not. But we got to get safe banking solved and what.
Yeah, there's still a lot in job protection.
We got to get job protections taken care of, and we got to once again guarantee the quality. That's the big thing in Florida. Florida's different than other states. We have a significant senior population. Once again, shout out Dr. Bone if anybody hasn't seen. Did you ever watch? You got to watch the CNN special.
Yeah, I haven't watched
ultimately with Sanjay Gupta and everything, because it's awesome. And listen, we've had that discussion about getting out into our assisted living facilities, and
they seem very positive for the outreach that I've done.
Listen, everybody wants their seniors more active, safe, more in control, of their medications.
I think also the biggest thing, like when I was speaking to some of the assisted living facilities, they want their patients to have an alternative medicine. They really do. They're like, we don't want them just on pharmaceuticals. One guy was like, he goes, oh my God, I love this idea. He goes, great.
Especially when you talk about things like a patch, things that have they're so far, right. That things that are so far away from anybody's vision, guy in the front of the zigzag papers, smoking the joint. But just getting back to, wrap up the Smart and Safe campaign, we'll see what goes on. There's Supreme Court review. Of course, that's what this is all about, basically. And it didn't leak. I think it's pretty much public forum. But to read, the state's arguments against allowing the citizens to vote on something that we know, listen, we just know they don't want it. We got it.
Want it. And they know the people do want it.
And I don't want to pop anybody's balloon, but you got to anticipate that with Governor DeSantis still firmly in charge of this state, with 5 of the 7, I think, on the Supreme Court appointed by him, with Ashley Moody leading the charge of the power of the state. I gotta be honest with you, everybody. I think the Supreme Court's going to keep it off. I just don't think they care about public opinion. And if there's a public outcry and say, I don't know. and watch
Yeah.
to see if the legislature does supersede that 2024 vote. Okay, and do something. And once again, if they do, it'll be a significantly taxed
Yeah.
and a significantly regulated system. And it doesn't take years and
It doesn't
years,
take
Ashley.
years,
It just takes one good year of the stakeholders getting together
That's all.
and protecting the patients and the medical program.
Is they did an estimation of tax, like how much would be collected if they went into state recreational. It's between 200 and 400 million dollars annual revenue.
Listen, the tax
state.
benefits
That's a
are
lot.
obvious. And listen, there's ways for the state to get revenue out of this.
We need a new freeway.
Listen, you think they're going to allow it's always the guy from Ohio somehow. You think they're going to allow the guy from Ohio to come down with his 3 kids to Disney World and just walk into the dispensary in Florida without knowing who he is, registering what he's buying? Listen, the state's going to buy a $20 rec card. You watch.
They are.
And they're going to get tons of revenue from it.
Just that alone, imagine the revenue off of those cards. Yeah. I mean,
so that's what's going to go on. We'll have to see, but we will be involved. That's the point. But just to wrap it up, we'll see what the Supreme Court has to say. My prediction, I think they will keep it off. I just do.
I do too.
I just think everything points towards it,
because
and I don't think people live, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And there's probably no appeal process, of course. No,
but she's trying to protect the people,
She is trying to protect the people, make sure that they can possess.
Yeah, and make it grow.
Condescending, I think, was the word. It
was condescending. It was extremely condescending.
So we're not that stupid. We can read through it.
And
we know you don't want it.
Some of us can't name some of the justices. Yes, and
this really from a medical cannabis facility that everybody always asks me, what's going to happen to you guys when it goes legal adult use? And I always have the same answer. That's why we're Compassionate Cannabis Clinic, one doctor office. People will have more interest. They'll talk to their doctors. Their doctors won't know. Their doctors will refer them here. Legal adult use, to me, if done appropriately, is the right thing to do, but it needs to be done right. We're committed to making sure that everything that in our power, and we don't have the loudest voice in the world, but we do have a voice.
We do have a voice.
We do have our voice. And so everybody out there, pay attention to this one.
Yeah, definitely pay attention.
So you're going to be away for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to a wedding. So one of my best friends is getting married. So that wedding will be in Lithuania. So I haven't been to Lithuania, and this is aging me a lot. For 30 years.
Is that right?
30 years was the last time. So
you still have family there, of course.
I do. I have like cousins. All my aunts and uncles already passed away, but I do have a lot of cousins.
So that next generation.
Yeah, the next generation.
You've never been necessarily, or
most of
them, long ago.
Long ago, 30 years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we were in our 20s and now we're in our 50s. So so it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It will be.
Enjoy, safe travels.
Thank you.
And I will be in next week. Great guest, like I said. I think Dustin Robinson's going to join us. I don't know what we'll do the week after that, but I don't know. Don and I will come up with something. So we'll see you all in the green room next week.
Stay safe, everybody, and